Hi there, and welcome to Things You Didn't Ask For and Didn't Need to Know, the show where we discuss random stuff that we find interesting before deep diving into our main topic, which this week is Armageddon. I'm Mart.
I'm Donal.
And I'm Barry.
So, before we start, I'm just going to remind everybody, if you do enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and do all those good things. If you're on YouTube, you can hit the bell to be notified of new episodes. The more followers we have, that's what we live on, so please do. Okay, I guess we'll start, as always, with you, Barry. What do you have for us today?
So, my favourite story from this week, from all the stuff that's been happening, has definitely been the 4 Colombian children that survived for 5 weeks in the Colombian rainforest.
Oh, I didn't actually hear about this.
You didn't hear about this? Really?
No.
I
Mart?
also didn't hear about it, and it sounds like a terrible story.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's tragic, it's sad, but it's also amazing.
Please tell me wolves raising them was involved somewhere in the story.
Wolves in the Amazon. No, there are no wolves in the Amazon. There are
Spoil sport.
jaguars and snakes and spiders, and it's generally like you're dead if you end up in there on your own type of thing. They had a plane crash.
Okay.
4 kids, 13, 9, 4, and 1. Right now, they were indigenous children. It's really important to point that out. These were indigenous children. Their mom survived the plane crash, but died 2 days later. They were traipsing through the jungle, eating fruits and stuff like that. 5 weeks they survived and they had there was over 200 army personnel and other indigenous people looking for them the whole time. They were dropping pamphlets down, telling them to stay put, stop moving. They had their grandmother recorded and they were blasting it out of helicopter speakers saying, "We are still looking for you. We will find you."
Wow.
All this kind of stuff. It took them 5 weeks to find them, but they found them
Wow.
alive and well-ish.
I was going to, it's a good ending, but geez, what a terrible story.
13, 9, 4, and 1. Children kept a 1-year-old baby alive for 5 weeks in the Colombian Amazon jungle thing.
Yeah.
Damn.
Unbelievable. When I was 13, if you left me alone in the house with food for a week, I'd be dead. Never mind 5 weeks in a jungle. That's just... It blows my mind.
That
It's
is
just
amazing.
Now, the
Yeah.
grandfather did say that he had taught them and the family had taught them kind of not basic survival stuff and that this fruit is good to eat, this fruit is good to eat type of thing. Don't poke that creature. Do you know, that kind of stuff. So they did have the kind of basic survival stuff.
Well, Colombians are made of...
incredible.
They're made of different stuff, because I know I'm watching Narcos just now. And,
Me too.
holy moly, it's just crazy.
It's insane. If it's even, and I know Narcos is a work of fiction.
Well, how much though? Because I had known about the life of Pablo Escobar before and
Same.
stuff, and I'm watching that, and there's a lot of stuff I know in it. But then, yeah, you're right. I don't know how accurate the TV show is.
It's definitely been fictionalized and dramatized to make it more interesting to watch, but it's still insane, even if it's only 10% true. It's incredibly insane.
Anyway,
Yeah.
5 weeks in the damn jungle.
Yeah. And probably no Guns N' Roses playing in the background. Welcome to the jungle. But now, here's another one for you. A butt. And who doesn't like a butt? Is a unit of measurement.
Cannot lie. Oh, right, yeah.
It is a real unit of measurement.
A butt?
A butt is a measurement for a cask of wine. And here's the beautiful part of it. A buttload is 108 imperial gallons.
Really? So this is really a real thing?
Yeah. So when
And
you
it's
say a
for wine.
buttload, hey, there's a buttload of beer, you better have 491 litres of beer. Otherwise, you're lying.
400. So how much is one buttload? One butt, I mean?
It's a cask, which is I don't know, 108. No,
I'm totally going to use that lingo the next time I'm out in the pub.
two,
I'll
100%.
order a butt of wine.
I'd like a butt of wine, please. Yeah. Or a butt of beer, I guess, would work as well. But yeah, a buttload is an actual measurement. This is something I knew and then forgot I knew. And when I saw it the other day, I went, I didn't know that. Wait, no, I did know that. And I was confused for a moment. But the ampersand, you're familiar with the ampersand?
that squiggly
The squiggly thing.
and thing.
Yeah, that represents and. It is the letter E and the letter T stuck together. And if you look at it, you
Really?
go, oh yeah, I can kind of see that. It is from the Latin word et, which is and. So it's a very simple, very, very simple thing. E and T beside each other, stuck together, makes ampersand. And you can kind of see it when you look at it. Kind of.
I'm struggling to see it.
Yeah, it's kind of there. It's hard to see. It's not like, oh yeah, that's
It's one of them visual, what do you call it? Visual, what do you call them? Visual optical illusions.
Optical illusion. Yeah.
Where's the E? I was thinking Jamie is holding it up for us.
Kinda.
Oh yeah, okay, I can see it there.
it's not
Yeah.
perfectly clear, but
Now
yeah,
I feel
can see
pressure
it.
to say I'm seeing it too, just
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
be left out.
It's like when someone shows you their ultrasound of their baby. You know, oh yeah, I can totally see what's going on there. Okay, another one for you. In 1939, Hitler's nephew wrote an article called "Why I Hate My Uncle." He moved.
Wow.
He moved to the US. He joined the Navy and he settled on Long Island. Now, I think it's incredible to bit of information that
Did he join the US Navy?
the US
or
Navy. Yeah,
Oh wow! So he hated his uncle enough to say, "I will join the other side."
yeah, but not the Marines because you know.
I mean, you don't want to get like risk a dying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he joined the Navy. He was actually in the American Navy. So there was Hitler on either side,
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
which I think is fascinating and something I didn't know, and I didn't ask for it.
I did not know that either. But
Yeah.
did you know? I can't remember her name. It's like Mary something or other. She's a lawyer or something. She is Trump's, I think, niece. I'm pretty sure it's niece. And she wrote a book. And the exact title wasn't, but basically was effectively Why I Hate My Uncle.
Brilliant.
I think she was...
Did she move out of America and join the Navy?
No, not now. But she definitely always a very vocal, outspoken. I think she wrote a book to basically say to listen, American people, this guy's a psycho. Don't steer clear of him.
Oh, sorry, that was Trump's niece, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, there's definitely
Yeah.
kind of less war-like parallels with there.
Yeah, it's interesting. One is orange, the other one has a tiny mustache. The Battle of Gettysburg.
Yes.
They had a reunion in 1913, right, years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Two men who had fought on opposite sides of the Civil War went and at this reunion and they purchased a hatchet, and then they went to the spot where both of their regiments fought.
And they dug a hole and buried them.
They did. They buried a single hatchet.
Oh,
A
right.
single
Yeah,
hatchet.
okay.
They
Oh, yeah,
went
they
and
split
bought
the
a
cost.
hatchet and buried it at the site where they had fought.
That's
Really?
very nice.
So they
And
literally.
obviously, that's where it came from.
I think it existed before that.
Or they just took that statement very literally.
They took it literally to kind of say we're really, really burying the hatchet. So yeah, they did that. I thought that was
Yeah.
fair play.
Garth Brooks fans will remember we buried the hatchet but leave the handle sticking out.
I don't know that one.
Buried
Right.
the hatchet.
Is that one of the songs? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that one.
But leave the handle sticking out.
Now, a couple from the English language for you. It took the first guys that made the Oxford English Dictionary. It took them 5 years to get up to the word ant.
Wow.
Now, I don't know if they got any faster after that, but 5 years to get to ant.
Do they literally just write it out by hand?
Well, they would have done, yeah, back in them days.
Oh, I guess. I don't. Yeah, of course. I don't know.
And have a guess at, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, what is the most commonly misspelled word in the English language?
Oh,
Triskaidekaphobia.
No, and it's not
Oh.
anti-disestablishmentarianism either.
I was going to say something like precision.
No.
Or,
Spell publicly.
Publicly.
Donald? Oh, you heard him.
publicly.
Yeah.
Publick. No. Public.
Wait, Barry actually acknowledged that I was right.
Yeah, he
you
did.
don't have to try
I
to.
literally forget your spelling. Public. Public. Oh, and just ly after.
Yeah.
That isn't the word that most people get
That
wrong.
is the most misspelled word in the English language.
Really?
Publicly. Yeah. It's mad. And the mad thing is, because I asked Katrina to spell it this evening and she put a K in there as well. And I was like, why would you put a K in there?
Oh, I just realised it's probably the most misspelled. I was trying to think of a really obscure word that no one would know. But if it's an obscure word, then it's not being used
It's
that
not
often.
being
So
used
therefore,
enough.
it won't be misspelled that often.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
So
what
it's
I
a
thought.
commonly used
Yeah.
misspelled word. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what gets me? And I'm going to go off on a tangent.
Go ahead.
And maybe I'm wrong and maybe I'm right. But you know what amazes me? You know when you make a decision about something? Mm-hmm. You made that decision, right?
Yep.
Why do people say, take a decision?
I have no idea.
And if you listen, and you probably, I can see that shock on your face. Have you ever even heard this, Barry?
No.
But you see, the thing is, you never heard it because you never noticed or paid attention because it happens so casually everywhere in life.
Take a decision.
Yes, and if you listen to the news, newscasters will be like, the government took a decision today and blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't. They made a decision today. But I hear it all the time. People say it all the time, but then people say stupid stuff all the time.
And
And when
is
it goes on television...
Have you
and
looked
on
into it?
news,
Is it grammatically correct or grammatically incorrect or anything? Or do we know? Or
Such is my arrogance on my high horse, I didn't even look it up. I'm sure I'm right. And everyone who disagrees is in the wrong.
yeah, that sounds like
It's correct.
it's funny when you said it first.
Oh, wait,
take a
what's
decision.
correct?
It sounds crazy. But then when you say the government took the decision to pass this law, that sounds grammatically correct.
Okay, I should point out today we have I'm going to say a producer.
Yeah.
Someone who's kind of I would also say fact checker, but I don't want to put any too much pressure on her.
No.
Donald's wife Linda is here as a kind of a background, help us out doing quick Googling and things.
Yeah.
But tell us, is take a decision or make a decision?
Both
or,
are grammatically correct.
well, one is more grammatically correct than the other, and we all know which one.
Mart's Harry High Horse is teetering. It's teetering.
My horse is turning into
over to you,
donkey.
Barry.
Your horse is taking the decision to ride off into the
Oh,
sunset.
dang.
Now, this one. Okay, here we go. No, I'm not going to be able to say it. Flip it. I've been practicing this bloody word all day, and I was able to say it earlier, but now I can't say it again. It's really, really hard to say. Fluxiniaphilification. Right? It's an English word.
Will we guess what it means?
Don't, you won't. You'll never get it. It's one of the
Oh,
long...
wait a second now.
Oh, challenge extended.
Yeah. Okay, say the word again. Flux is change. Okay, or changing.
Well, it's flux, F-L-O-C-C, rather than F-L-U-X.
Okay, in that case,
Fluxiniaphilification. Oh, I had it earlier and I can't say it now. It's awful.
it's the act of something changing into something else.
No, it is it's estimating that something is worthless.
Oh.
So it's one of the longest words in the English language, and it's one I'd never ever heard of before. Never mind heard before. I didn't even know it existed. And I was thinking, I came across it and I was like, whoa, okay. And I thought, what is that? How would you even use that? It's the act of estimating that something is worthless. How would you even put that in a sentence? And apparently, since there was very little education derived from comics, teachers rarely used them as reading material due to this fluxiniaphilification.
Well, I would say that word is so obscure and ridiculous and would never actually be practicable anywhere that it is a flux and implication word.
In of itself.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that was... What do you got, Donald?
Do you have anything, Mert?
I'm going to let you go first because I have a feeling that me and you have exactly the same thing.
This would be interesting. If you
But
both have
this
the
isn't-
exact-
this
No, this isn't the main
isn't
topic.
the main
This
topic,
is just...
Just do you have any random other
I
side
can
talk
guarantee you
beforehand?
don't have the same thing. Why do we use BC versus BCE?
This is for years and...
So have you heard the way there's BCE?
No, I mean I presume. Well, just to be clear for me anyway.
Yeah.
BC as in before Christ.
Yeah.
That's what it stands for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They
Well-
don't use that anymore, do they?
They don't, because they use... okay, so BC is before Christ and AD is Anno Dominus, which is after Christ. Okay, so now there's BC and CE. Okay, so BCE is before Common Era and CE is Common Era.
Okay.
That's the atheists come along and taking an already pre-established timeline and going, we're
No,
renaming
but
that.
you're joking. But that's literally it.
Huh.
It's literally it. That's
I mean-
actually the... But I saw this thing where...
Well, look at the Catholic Church came along and just took other religions' holidays,
pagan
and made,
rituals and said,
made it
yeah.
their own. So
No, but it was like, I saw it because Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about it and he was like saying, I'm going to stick with BC versus... I'm going to stick with BC versus BCE because he was saying it's a Gregorian calendar. It's a pope. The Jesuits made it in 1780, I think, for Pope Gregory. So it's the most accurate calendar that was ever invented.
So he got a calendar and he got a chant. Mm-hmm. That seems a bit unfair.
I said 1580. So basically, it's ridiculous. I now that I know the difference, I'll make sure to slander anyone who uses CE.
Okay.
I mean, I'd say it wouldn't matter to me one way.
makes
I
no
literally wouldn't care.
It's like going into a church and going, we shouldn't be in the church. It's like, if you don't want to be in the church, don't.
Oh, you're saying so because the calendar is the calendar that we use was made by a religious institution.
Yeah.
That we can't say we're not using your calendar unless you're not using the calendar at all.
Exactly,
So
Barry.
you're saying
Come up with a new
BC
one.
Yeah, BC and AD.
It's like it's like
It's part of that
CE
calendar.
is common era. Common era of what?
When did
Common
that
era after what point?
do we know when that Common Era started, or what before Common Era is?
But
Do
can
they
I-
have
but
The
that?
common
Clarify.
era is like when Jesus is born.
Is that what they?
It's like
Can I
zero.
understand something? All we're arguing about here is they just literally renamed it.
Yes, literally.
So nobody's saying to change the calendar or use a different new calendar at any point. All they're saying is instead of using those two acronyms, use the other two acronyms,
yes.
which is totally pointless, and I don't see any
Oh
benefit
yeah,
to
it's
it. But,
stupid. Yeah.
but I wouldn't necessarily give a hoot if somebody decided to use it or not. But it's not
I
about
would.
really. Well, okay, you're very traditional.
Donald's
I
going
mean,
to beat them to death
That's me very traditional.
remember also that everything, all language and everything is changing all the time.
all the
Yeah,
time.
I know. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, I can think up loads of analogies, but why
This is
bother?
like
I'm correct.
2,000-year-old
In the same way that
wokeism.
you're correct. Yeah.
We should
We've had
cancel
enough of this.
that Gregory guy.
Oh crap. Okay, where did the moon come from?
That was when a rogue planet slammed into our planet. And
Okay,
went
on
off.
to the next point. You're correct, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, you're so smart. When?
Not this year.
You're right. Also, Mart.
Well, I don't know when, but it was
That
very
happened.
early in the formation of the planet.
60 to 175 million years. 60 million to 175 million years after the birth of our solar system, so our sun.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say a go, and I was like,
So
I'm calling bullshit on that.
Basically,
Yeah.
a Mars-sized planet hit our planet, and the heat that happened immediately kind of melted all the stone and melted all the crap together. Okay, and the Mars-sized planet that hit us, that went, and a gloopy part of it just flew back into Earth, but a gloopy other part flew off it, and
That's the
that
moon.
became the moon.
And when this other Mars-sized planet hit Earth, did it merge with the Earth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I was going to say, what Mars-sized planet is around that we can blame for this? Mars whistling nonchalantly.
And that rock, we know all this. We know specifically this detail from a rock called the Genesis rock that was collected on the Apollo 15 mission.
Nothing to do with the band.
No.
Nothing to do with Spock coming back alive.
No. That's actually. Okay, I was going to say that's all, but I was just going to say this is more of a. What's your opinion on Reddit? First of all, does someone want to explain what Reddit is?
Well, I'll jump in.
Go on.
Commonly known as the front page of the internet. It's basically a forum that people can go to, and there's all these sub-forums, and anyone can go and set up a sub-forum and then moderate it themselves. So, for example, I am subscribed to Reddit. I always have arguments with Rachel over, is Reddit social media or not? I mean, it's a forum, and you can post on it.
But it's more like boards.ie, if anyone remembers
Oh, yeah.
boards.ie.
Yeah,
It's more
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, but
It's definitely, I personally don't consider it social media,
No.
but I think it does fall, by some definition, falls under the category of
it's close
social
enough
media.
to it, I think. You're going to talk about
But
their
it's
private...
more informational,
Yeah.
and it's really a case where anyone can post anything there, well, within reason. It's not like
depending
4chan
on
or
depending
something.
on
Yeah.
depending on the subreddit they're on.
So tell us about them, because I've actually kind of heard about this, but I don't really know.
So
the
Yeah,
details.
it's- I've seen a lot of subreddits that have gone private
Yeah.
in
And
protests.
do you know what that's about?
No, it's something to do in a protest, something Reddit trying to make money or something.
Okay,
The
so basically,
lunatics.
Reddit is going for an IPO, which is an initial public offering. Okay, so in other words, you go for an IPO before you get floated on the stock exchange.
Okay, so can I just butt in here and say, just because so I can understand. So right now, Reddit is not on the stock exchange, which means it's not a public company, which means somebody just owns it.
Yeah, a
Or maybe
board
you-
of directors and stuff would own it.
Okay, so it's a private company, and they're going to go public and sell shares.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so but before doing that, it's kind of like the CEO whose name I forget, and it would be cool if I got the CEO's name of Reddit. The CEO of Reddit, it's kind of like before you go for an IPO, there's lots of like regulatory stuff you have to tidy up, and some of that stuff was that there were Steve Huffman, of course. Steve Huffman is the current CEO. All right, so
Had he anything to do with Huffington Post?
don't know. Be cool if we could find that out.
Or huffing
Only
glue.
messing.
Has he anything to do with huffing glue?
He invented it. His
That's when he came up with the idea.
His grandfather huffed glue. That's how he was the first man to do it. Hey, what
Back
do
in
we do
my
with this
day, we
cow-
used to huff the glue. But
this cow's hoof.
But so in a nutshell, Reddit needs to tidy house. So there's one app, for example, called Apollo that is big for Apple users, where it gets lots of Reddit subreddits and stuff, and it kind of bundles them into one tidy package. Okay.
Okay, so it's an app in the iPhone store
Yeah.
that connects with Reddit and pulls
Yeah.
data off Reddit and presents to users.
I don't know exactly how to use. But
that's the general thing you're describing, yeah, okay.
And there's a few of these types, okay. But Steve Huffman said, if it is Steve Huffman said, that that anymore, if an app wants to do this, you have to pay loads to use the API, and the API is the thing that connects once. Steve Huffman has nothing to do with the Huffington Post, but anymore, if you want to use these apps, you need to purchase an API
From Reddit. Okay.
And all of this is like going towards anything that happens anymore has, you're going to pay for it because we're now going to belong to shareholders.
Yeah.
And that's why loads of people are going like, nope, we brought Reddit to where it is free of charge. Like the moderators and all this kind of thing that helped. They didn't pay, they didn't charge. They didn't pay. They didn't charge for their services in general type of thing, And but it's a huge thing. It'd be really sad to see.
And it's incredible because obviously some of the subreddits, like I subscribe to several subreddits, and one of them is Ask Historians, because I enjoy history. I enjoyed learning about stuff in the past, and it is one of the most amazingly moderated subreddits I've ever seen. They will literally, you'll go in and it's difficult to find a question that has been fully answered because their bar for answering questions is set so high that somebody will answer the question but they won't cite their sources and stuff like that. The moderator's like, no, you're done.
Yeah.
Gone, deleted. And they're really strict, but it's
I've
brilliant.
replied a few times or I've asked questions or that kind of thing on Reddit, and a few times because me asking a question, so it's like I ask most of what I kind of am meaning, and then it'd be like my questions were struck out because like, no, you didn't literally do you didn't do everything you're meant to do. The moderators kicked me out.
Yeah.
So ultimately the point is Reddit are now turning to try to make money, and these moderators of all these forums, who basically are volunteers, are kind of frustrated at the fact that, hey, our work we provided for free got you there and now you're charging for it, kind of thing. Because I did see that they're
very much, I
think they're going to block all, I can't remember what, for the next 2 days you can't you can't join any new forums or something.
There's a load
just
of
for 2 days.
Yeah.
But it's funny, that's basically what Elon Musk has done in Twitter.
Really?
Because Elon Musk came along and obviously bought Twitter and tried to make it make money, and because he spent so much money on it, like the amount he overpaid for that is embarrassing. It's amazing that someone seemingly smart spent so much money on something.
I'll wait for the little trigger on this.
But the thing is, one of the things he did is he said, okay, all these other apps that kind of plug into the Twitter kind of feed using what's called an IT, an API. It's a program that allows your app to connect to the main Twitter backbone and pull data off it. Anyone who wants to use those APIs has to pay money, which they hadn't. Twitter hadn't been charging for up to now. So Reddit's basically doing the same thing. I mean,
look, I can see
it's a business.
It's a business. They want to make money, and if somebody's able to just take the stuff that they're not creating, but their website is creating, whoever third-party person is making it, it's still on their website. Someone just goes and takes that and puts it on their website, and they're making money from advertising.
Well, can I tell you a funny story? There's a book called Where's My Cheese? And it's a very short book. And it's kind of a...
Children's book?
No, it's specifically an adult's book. But it's very transparently got a message. And that message, you could perceive it as being, management or trying to pull the wool over the minions' eyes kind of thing, because the theme of the book is there's these three mice running around in a maze and they're just always struggling to find cheese, and they find a bit here and then they find a bit there and they're trying to survive. One day they find this big mountain and they're so happy they keep going back there every day and they don't have to look anymore and it's great. Then one day they go back and it's gone. The big mountain cheese is just gone. So one mouse is pissed off, where's my cheese, fuck this. Another mouse is like, we're no worse off than we were before. It was good while it lasted. And, the different perspectives of how you handle change. Some people will be, accepting of it, and some people will see it as an opportunity and try to make better, and some people will just be mad that there's something they had is now gone. So anything that you give someone for free for a while, the minute, it's not free anymore, they're going to be mad, even though, So definitely I can see all these app producers and all these moderators being mad that their thing...
What I'd love to see is even like, and you see it even in mainstream media outlets now, like newspaper websites and stuff, where they go like, they'll have a headline, and all the story is something somebody posted on a subreddit, like
The
anti-work
amount,
or malicious compliance or one of those subreddits, and they literally make their own clickbait news story out of it. And at that, I'd love to see gone. I'd like be like, no, you're
Actually-
a journalist, get news stories.
No,
not-
but see, the problem is journalism is dying. It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
completely dead. You'll really notice, because I have a news app that I subscribe to, and most of the stuff is just, people's opinions pulled off a forum.
Yeah.
There's no more true journalism where somebody goes out and does investigative reporting and looks up into a story
Mert,
and interviews people.
Do you know Skinner? Not Skinner, but Skinner, the psychologist.
Yes.
Yeah. He had a machine. He taught birds how to. You know about this?
Yeah, the Skinner's box thing.
Yeah, the Skinner's box. It has a name. It's like the
Well, I think it's called Skinner's box. It's where
Okay.
you put a mouse in there and get this button that they keep pressing and it'll keep getting
or
the reward.
a bird was like, he trained birds as well to do it, and so the birds basically would keep on pecking the thing, okay, but he trained the birds. What is the name of the box? I suppose the box isn't that important.
The name doesn't
Yeah.
matter so much. Let's not get sidetracked. But tell me the point.
But basically, in the same way that Skinner had trained the birds, okay, to get a reward from the piece of bread, like when they would
Basically, it was you do a certain action, certain behavior would be rewarded.
Yeah.
The Skinner box principle is used, for example, in Candy Crush.
Yeah.
That kind of thing of
this
do
is
this
exactly
behavior
it.
all the time. You
But
keep getting the reward, you
I've
get
actually-
the dopamine, you keep doing
I
it.
actually read a big long article yesterday, and because of that big long article, I've changed the way, as of yesterday, that I'm going to go on Reddit and go on YouTube and do all that kind of stuff, because I realized we're literally the mice or the birds.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's like, and it is ridiculous, and it's that thing you're talking about the just or
We've
whichever-
talked about it before about the algorithms.
We have talked about it before,
Google
yeah.
algorithms
Yeah.
that if you search a certain way, you're going to find certain websites,
Yeah.
and it's going to reinforce your
Yeah.
point of view. Like
Yeah.
you're in an echo chamber. So yeah, we've definitely hit on that before, and and absolutely, you're right. We are the mice. We are the birds. We keep pecking that button.
Okay. Does anyone
Did
have
you-
anything?
No, did you have anything else?
I'm going to run through it real quick because I want to get on with the main topic. But one thing that I'm surprised you didn't talk about, Donald, I was kind of assuming, we're going to talk about the same thing, is the Apple Vision Pro.
Oh God, yeah, jeez, yeah.
It's basically a new headset that's come out. And I'm sure you've seen all the VR headsets that are there.
Yeah.
And they're big, clunky, heavy things, usually connected with wires. No, newer ones aren't. The Apple Vision Pro is not one of these. It is a augmented reality thing. So in other words,
As distinct from VR.
as distinct from VR. So when you put VR goggles on your face, you are now in a whole other world,
Yeah.
seeing a whole other place, and you're not seeing anywhere of where you are. So
Yeah.
you have to be
Whereas
careful.
augmented
not
reality is you're looking at what's there, but it's superimposed. Other stuff is superimposed.
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, that's a good
yes,
description.
exactly.
Yes,
And it's really made huge waves right now because Apple, I think, have come out with nothing new since, 2013 or something. It's been, and when Apple come up with a really, truly new thing,
It's usually
they
a
can
game
change the world.
It's a game changer.
Like
yeah.
the iPhone literally changed. I don't know if young people won't appreciate this, but the iPhone literally changed the world.
Yeah, but don't forget that Apple didn't really.
They
Well,
did.
no, they
perfected
didn't
it.
invent-
Actually,
they
you're
didn't
right,
invent
Barry.
it.
They perfected it.
Yes,
That's what they did. And they
but-
released at the right time, and it just hit at the right time, and that was because I remember before Apple's, and again, young people won't know this. I remember iPacs, compact iPacs.
Yeah.
Do you remember those? And
Yeah.
they had more or less the same capabilities, but not quite as well or well done as Apple.
Yeah, that's it. And the thing is,
And that's it. They innovate into
Apple don't really invent something brand new out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They will just simply do it so much better.
yes,
But really, it's the doing it so much better that's so significant.
Yeah.
But anyway, this could change the world or it could just die.
Okay.
But right now, the biggest thing about it is it's $3,500. But you put it on your face, but it's meant to be like super duper high resolution. And the way it works is you just look around you and you can see the apps from the Apple store in front of your eyes. So you could choose just wherever you happen to be looking. There's so many sensors inside. You just literally look at whatever you want to access and just pinch your fingers.
Oh, you still have to pinch your fingers.
Yeah, well, you do need to some way make the device know that you're choosing to select it.
I thought it was just no.
No, but that would be definitely some degree of thought control.
Double click, look.
No, but I've heard a few different people talk about it.
Yeah.
I've heard a few people talk about it, and they all describe it as it's just like magic.
Yeah.
It's literally like this transcends
Because
technology.
hold on, there's a girl. I don't know, can't remember where I saw it now, but there's a girl who played some video games, simple video games, using just a thing attached to her head.
Oh, the thought control stuff.
Yeah, so you augment that with this other thing, and you've got double click.
Yeah, that would be.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, but down the line.
Yeah.
But ultimately, anyway, it could be the kind of thing where if it does take off properly, obviously the price would need to come down. Like currently, if you give me one right now, I'd be amazed and I'd love to use it, but then I would have no actual use of it. Do you know what I mean? It would end up on the shelf tomorrow. But it will be eventually a thing where you could literally imagine sitting down to your own cinema screen and watching a movie, but really you're just sitting in the closet. You could.
So
it would make it where you could do that in VR.
Yeah,
but
sorry, I'm just have jokes about coming out of the closet.
Okay, I should have used a different example, but it's the kind of thing that could change, you know, how you watch movies and all that kind of stuff. And it's got a really weird thing, and this is part of the super expensive stuff.
Yeah, that thing there, is it? Go on, yeah.
Yes, yeah. If you are, say, watching a movie, in other words, your vision is completely blocked off from the outside world, and if anyone watches you, they'll just see a black visor. But if you're doing anything where you're looking through, in other words, if it's an augmented reality mode, so you can actually see the room around you, it'll show your eyes in the front of the thing, just to give other external people the opportunity to know, if I walk in front of Barry, he'll see me, kind of thing. But the weird thing is, it doesn't actually just, you know, let me see through the glass and see your eyes because there's so much tech in there. What it does is the front faceplate is a camera, and it's recording your eyes inside and projecting that onto the cameras outside, which just sounds so over-engineered. It's ridiculous.
So what you're looking at there, see the way you're seeing your man's
that's
eyes?
actually a screen.
That's the screen.
So how long until someone comes up with a way of looping it, their own eyes open, so that they can be like, yeah, don't worry, I'm completely at this meeting, and inside you're like,
Yeah. But anyway, that's an interesting
tech.
But how much do you think it is, Barry? You can actually do a guess.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm going to guess 3,500.
Oh right.
I already said that earlier. Yeah, okay. Now, we spent a lot of time today talking about random stuff. We should get on to our main topic,
Yay.
which is Armageddon.
Armageddon.
So, I don't really know how or where to start this, but I guess...
I can.
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, the movie. Yeah. I have a different way to start it, though.
Go.
Because I think this is interesting. We have two words that we use interchangeably for the end of the world. And that is Armageddon and...
Doomsday.
And, okay, that's not a word. That's like two words or a hyphenated word.
Okay, yeah, go on.
Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
Neither of those two words mean into the world. Which I thought...
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I wasn't even clear myself, even though we picked the topic.
We picked the topic Armageddon. Are we talking about just the mountain near Megeddon between Libya and Syria, or wherever
Is there really a mountain called Armageddon?
No,
there's a mountain.
Yeah.
So Armageddon literally translates from the Hebrew. They think it translates from the Hebrew, a mountain near a place called Megeddon. And Arma being the old Hebrew
it's a
word
biblical
for
city of Megeddon.
which was mentioned once. Armageddon was mentioned once in the Bible. St. John 16:16, if anyone wants to, a revelation to John.
You know your Bible, Barry.
I do, yeah, when it's written down in front of me. So basically, it was the place where the kings of the earth under demonic leadership will wage war on the forces of God at the end of history.
We've all played Populous. Do you remember that video game Populous? And at the end, everyone would run into the middle of the map, and there'd be this big fight, and
the middle of the map was...
and the middle of the map would be a big mountain.
Yeah, it would be Megeddon.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's it.
That's
yeah.
what I meant. And
yeah.
apocalypse is a Greek word that means something uncovered. So apocalypse actually refers to the uncovering of a vision of the future, such as in the book of Revelation and the Revelation of John. Most beliefs about the apocalypse are pieced together from different texts throughout the Bible, meaning that the apocalypse is actually presenting guidelines for interpreting a series of events in the world around us. So neither word that we use interchangeably for it's the end of the world, it's doomsday, neither of those two words actually mean the end of the world. So just to clarify for our listeners, we are talking about the end of the world, not a mountain.
Well, actually, not the mountain near Megeddon, but I was going to say, do you take it as the end of the world, or just say, for example,
End of
if
humanity.
yeah, let's say The Walking Dead happened really, is that an Armageddon for? I mean, it's Armageddon for humanity.
Maybe not. But here's what I have, and this is how I'd like to start this. And I've got 10 things, a list of 10 things that could be classified as.
Okay, I think
Armageddon
before we all
epidemics.
go into it, I just want to ask everyone straight up before you start reading lists and all that kind of stuff. I'll start with you, Barry. What do you think is the most likely way that humanity will end, or human civilization will end?
I will go with. I'm going to go with number 9 on my list, which is AI uprising.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, Donald.
So I'll give a populist answer, which is probably they'd be like. Have you read that book? Have you read that book, The Road?
No.
Or seen the film?
No.
Right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's
Is that the one with the dad and the kid?
yes,
Yes, I have seen
It's
that.
amazing.
Okay, it's the most depressing, purely just
It's just very depressing.
one of the best films. It's one of my favorite films. I think
Wouldn't
that's
crack
going to
my
happen.
top 1,000.
I think that's going to what?
Wouldn't crack my top 1,000.
I mean, it's literally, it's relentlessly,
Depressing.
oppressively depressing.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that a movie can do that blew me away. I mean, it's totally what it does so well. You've got to give it kudos for being a masterpiece.
Give it kudos.
I would say anyone who hasn't seen The Road,
See The Road.
Yeah. maybe, I don't know, steel yourself.
Don't
Make an
be
appointment with
depressed
your therapist first, and then yeah.
But it's like.
But go on in with Donald. Tell us, how does the world end, or how does humanity end?
I think that's going to happen. I think global warming will just bake us to death.
Yep.
However, that's my populist answer. What I actually think is I'm a humanist, so I think that the world civilization won't end, and if humanity does end, it's only because we evolve into super intelligent beings and just leave the planet eventually.
So you discount the fact that we could be hit by an asteroid that, like a bullet, going straight through the planet, completely obliterating it and killing everything on
Yeah,
board.
I think if that happens, we'll destroy it. I don't think.
What I don't understand is this difference between how you have two compartments in your brain that are totally detached from each other or something. What is it? When you say populist answer, the populist, do you mean, when you say populist answer, do you mean this is the answer that I think would be the most common one chosen by other people, and then separately, here's the answer that I personally think myself?
Yeah. That's a good description.
Okay, Grant, because I was kind of confused there.
Yeah.
So your own personal opinion is you think it's more likely that humanity will survive indefinitely
Yeah,
and
definitely. I
transcend
100%
this
believe.
mortal coil.
Yep.
Okay.
But
Wow.
wait, I mean, by transcend, I mean literally like the end of civilization, the end of the Sibs. We'll go into spaceships and leave here and go and become an interplanetary species. But in doing that, we'll have changed very much what a bog standard human is.
But Elon Musk will still be alive and he will be our god.
Nice.
But that's still, let's say we were a multiplanetary species and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. Humanity can still end at some point, which would be the end of humanity or
Yeah,
end
but
of.
I think humans will live like with technology and we'll be wearing clothes and stuff for like hundreds of thousands of years.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you.
I like the addition of we'll be wearing clothes and stuff.
Got to clarify that.
yeah. We're at least 100,000 years from walking around naked
Well, in fairness,
constantly.
one of the theories of the Greys, the aliens that
Yeah.
allegedly
I wish
visit.
I could do a
But the Greys that allegedly visit, some people speculate that maybe there's some future form of humans that are traveling back in time and they're walking around with their clothes.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good to point it out.
Yeah, it's
We
good
will
point.
be
Good
wearing
point.
something.
The top most likely.
No, wait.
I've
Mark,
only
how
got.
do you
It's a
think?
10. It's
Okay,
literally
well,
a list of 10 words.
I'm gonna
Oh yeah, yours.
Yes, I want to say. I'm just going to throw it out real quick. I reckon it'll be a virus, and I've always thought that this would be the significantly most likely thing. And this is not a pandemic thing. I've been saying this for all my life that I remember. It just seems so obvious to me that of all the things that might happen, it's the most patently obvious. But we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll come back to it, yeah. Because
Viruses. Yeah. So I just have a list of what I think are the top 10 most likely things.
And is this
to
in
end.
order?
No.
Oh, okay.
No particular order. World War III.
oh, yes.
So we just completely obliterate ourselves.
But wouldn't
with
there still be
nuclear
a winner?
powers.
Sorry?
Yeah, there was a cartoon in our history book years ago of somebody climbing out underneath rubble, everything completely destroyed around him, and went going, "We won!" There may be a winner of the war, but I think it could end humanity because there will be no... Like, look at, if a civilization-ending event happened 500 years ago, like a meteor or something, humanity probably would survive it.
Yes.
Simply because most people lived in a 5 mile or 10 mile thing of their home, and they all knew how to plant and eat and all that kind of stuff.
Good point.
We are so dependent now on international infrastructure and food coming from, thousands of miles away and all that kind of stuff, and technology, that if you take that off us, you go back to the thing we were talking about at the top of the podcast there, 5 kids or 4 kids surviving in the Colombian rainforest
they'll be
for 5
thriving.
weeks. They'd be thriving, but only until the forest dies because of the nuclear winter, and then they're screwed as well. But people who live in civilization, like in cities and stuff, are screwed even quicker because no water, no electricity, no food coming in.
Well, can I tell you an amazing, what is considered a fact? One of the big things, in fact, sorry, I'm going to go on a little tiny sidetrack. I guess, firstly, the reason that this is interesting to talk about is there have been 5, I can't remember what it's called, global mass extinction events so far. One of them, which we all know of, is the dinosaurs. 65 million years ago, an asteroid hit the Yucatan Peninsula, and I think there's a specific definition of what's classified as a mass extinction event. It's if more than 80% or something of all the life on Earth, all the different species die, then it's considered a mass extinction event. So there has been 5 so far, and we are literally right now living through the 6th, because the 6th is happening right now. The amount of species that are dying every day is so fast that it is classified, technically it's coming close to meeting the requirement of a mass extinction event. But one of the mass extinction events was caused by a supervolcano, some major volcanic eruption that put all the ash up in the sky. Yeah, and it effectively it caused a what do you call it? Nuclear winter.
Nuclear winter. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Even though it wasn't caused by nuclear, but it where the ash goes in the sky and there's no sun for years. But basically, the human race was reduced down to, they speculate it was between 3,000 and 5,000 humans left on Earth alive, and from those 3,000 to 5,000 people, all people on Earth here today came from.
They did some boning.
They did, and some major interbreeding too.
Yeah,
they have to. But it's amazing to think how close we came in the past. Now I don't actually know when this was. It's something I heard before, but I've looked it up separately.
Yeah.
But yeah. So even if, say, a nuclear winter happened, and you're right, 99% of humans would be screwed. There's a lot of people who know how to live off the land.
There is, but
then you're right. The land would die.
Yeah, they need the land to be able to live off it. So,
but okay, actually, go on.
No, because each of these has their own.
You see, here's the thing. I think it doesn't matter. Not it doesn't matter. I think even if everyone blew the crap out of each other, there's still going to be there's still going to be patches of land that'll survive. And
well, will there? Actually, this is what we should do. We'll just take each one at a time and discuss it proper. Yeah. So we're currently talking about nuclear devastation, World War III. But essentially what Barry was saying, Donald, is
if the whole planet has covered in a coating of ash that won't go for 50 years type of thing.
Basically. And the entire Earth is completely radiated simply because everybody decided, oh crap, World War III is happening, launched nukes. Yeah. Everyone who had a nuke launched it.
I think, Barry, to quote Jeff Goldblum, nature will find a way.
Nature can. Nature will. I don't think humans will.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, that's actually an important distinction.
We are one of the most adaptable creatures on the planet, beside cockroaches. But it's definitely a possibility that could end humanity. Simply because if everyone that has nukes releases the nukes, and every single scrap of land is hit by a nuke in some form or another, or at least is adjacent to a nuke explosion, there's not going to be any land to work. There's not going to be any sunshine. There's not going to be
realistically that wouldn't
any
happen,
water. No,
if there was a proper nuclear exchange, not all the bits of land would be irradiated. But I think what you're saying is the nuclear winter would be enough. I think
it would
to kill humans,
specifically because of the fact that we are so globally linked. Again, if it happened, now that I know they didn't have nukes back in 500 years ago, but if something like that happened 500 years ago, we were so much more claned or tribal, I suppose, that you had a better chance of surviving. But now, because we're so globally linked,
I think the globally linked thing isn't necessarily as important. I think if nuclear winter came, 99% of the population would die. That's an awful lot of people still left.
that's a huge amount of people left, yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was to put a rating on it, nuclear annihilation by nuclear kind of devastation wouldn't be the biggest thing I would be thinking is most likely to kill everyone off. But again, it comes down to, and I'm sure everybody's watched The Walking Dead at some point or another, or this early seasons anyway. That shows the fall of civilization. I think it's the best depiction of the fall of human civilization. Yeah. The best depiction of the fall of civilization.
You're leaving out Mad Max.
No, but you see, the problem with Mad Max is, and any other movie, it's boom, civilization fell in an hour or two. The Walking Dead really brings you through it over the course of a decade. Gradually, you grow with the people where the survivors are trying to find other survivors, and gradually the mentality goes to, finding other survivors is more dangerous. And
Yeah, but it's not entirely realistic.
well, it's not a documentary, but
No, but one of the things is they're driving cars.
Oh no! For example, yes, and you could say that about The Last of Us, but
Yeah.
you know what?
But The Last
it's
of Us
also
at
TV.
least-
I know,
The
yeah.
Last of
Pedro
Us-
Pascal
yeah,
acknowledged.
yeah.
But you're right. It's not.
Wait, The Last of Us at least what? And Pedro Pascal.
Oh yeah, so
what?
in The Walking Dead, they're driving around in cars without
Yes.
any issues. In The Last of Us, they're driving around in cars with the massive issue that petrol is almost useless. It only gets them a few miles. To fill the tank only gets them a few miles because
Oh, yes,
petrol
yes.
degrades. In reality, it would be a lot less than what they showed in The Last of Us. It'd be completely useless within
Yeah.
a couple of years, I think.
Yeah, and The Last
also,
of Us is.
there'd be no roads or buildings within 10 years. They'd be complete. Well, the roads would be gone in a year. Buildings would be mostly gone in 10 years. So
Yeah, but again,
yeah, it's not a documentary.
The Last of Us is 20 years after the fall of civilization. The Walking Dead is, for the first 6 seasons, it's up to 6 years after. And you
Yeah.
can see things degrade. But ultimately, without getting lost in the weeds of
Yeah.
the specifics of it,
There'd be a lot of weeds.
It shows a good depiction of the fall of civilization. Probably the best depiction I've seen in any media. And if a nuclear winter happened, I think civilization would spring back in 100 years' time.
It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. If they're not too spread out. If the 5,000 survivors, we'll say, that survived it, that did the last time, say, if they weren't like some of them up in Kamchatka and the rest of them down in Peru or something, and there's only like 20 here and 30 there and 40 here, if they're able to get together, then you've got a society again.
And you think, what did you say nuclear winter was what you thought was the most likely thing to...
No, I'm just...
Oh yeah, sorry, but
one of
even
the
when I
things.
asked you at the start, you said, what did you say was the most likely thing in civilization?
Oh, me? I just said it was the uprising.
Oh, AI uprising, sorry, yes. Okay,
There's a far more grim word for nuclear winter here. A nuclear famine.
Well, the nuclear famine is what would occur because of the nuclear winter.
Yeah.
okay, well I think we've... Actually, do you think that the Ukraine war is going to have a nuclear bomb in it?
Probably not.
Yes.
I don't think it will.
I think it will. Once you put that spineless jellyfish, and I used to like Putin.
That already just is so weird. Go on.
Yeah.
No, he was cool.
When was he cool? When he was like 20 or something? He's wearing
Yes.
a long leather jacket.
No, he was cool.
Riding a horse
He's in the
bareback.
KGB, killing people. How
wait a
cool is
second.
that?
Wait a second. He's literally as cool as James Bond.
Yeah, but no, James Bond is a fictional character. Putin probably tortured
No,
and killed
James
people
Bond.
in
James
real
Bond.
life.
James Bond is based on a real person.
Based on
Not
several
based on real
people.
characters.
Yeah, but based on several real characters.
Yeah.
But he's still a
just because
fictional
we
character.
were naming one of them that we know.
But he's a fictional character. He didn't really. There was no James Bond
But
that really.
like Barry, do you acknowledge?
Romanced all the ladies.
No, wait.
Because he tortured them.
Do you acknowledge that there are people? Oh, look, wait. Putin, when the communism fell, Putin went, and he was one of the only KGB officers that stayed behind in his city. And he stayed behind and he burnt all the crap, all the files and everything.
'Cause he was
Really
cool.
KGB-y, actually, now that I say it out loud.
Yeah, he was
But-
so cool.
But
Is this the bit of one that's good, or is this the bit about
it's
him
the
that's
piece
bad?
about him that's cool.
Yeah, he's lost me as well. I'm
No,
like,
no,
what?
wait.
Keep going.
Basically,
Keep going though.
he stood for something, okay?
So did Hitler.
Hitler stood for something.
Yes.
But listen,
He
wait.
was so cool as well.
Putin stood for something. And there was a time when his aim was bring Russia back to its
Make Russia great again.
make Russia great again, because there was a time like
Murga
loads of the Russia fell apart. Okay, so his aim was bring Russia back together again. Okay, now in hindsight, obviously, like, because you could go up to loads of Irish people and say, "Hey, Irish person, do you think we should get Northern Ireland back into
This is a valid comparison.
into Southern Ireland?" And if that person said, "Yes, we should," now there's a flaming massive difference, because I know a few people and they'd be like, "Yes, bring," people who aren't just total stupid IRA heads. Okay, but if you talk to someone who's reasonable and go, "Do you think it is a good idea to get Ireland, like 32 counties, blah blah blah?" There's an argument for it. Now, what I'm saying is, for Putin, there was an argument for what he was trying to do. Okay? For everyone in Russia, for everyone who left Russia, and for everyone around Russia, his argument was terrible. But for himself and his
Cronies.
the oligarchs that was gathered around him, it was a good argument. Okay? Now, what I would say always in this is, it's very easy to say, Putin's bad, but when you say, "Oh, Putin's bad," and then just leave it there, it's like, no, we cannot talk about this anymore. You're not learning ultimately how to defeat Putin, because you've stopped talking about him.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about at all. You said Putin was cool, but you still haven't told me why he was cool.
No, because he was a man with a vision.
Okay, but we were just going to go into, is he going to launch nukes? Barry says no.
Yeah.
Sorry, Barry said, which one again?
I said I don't think he will.
Yeah, and I
Donald said
think,
yes.
and I think, based on what we know of, based on what I know of Putin, the like little micro fraction of a thing that I know about him, he's a crazy idiot, and I think he will do it. I think he will ultimately do it.
Well, I'd be a little bit more middle of the road, I think.
He might do it.
Yeah, but I think if he gets backed into a corner,
balanced.
he's like a wild animal.
Yeah.
And if you back him in a
100%,
corner and you
100%.
give him no options and you make him look like he's going to lose, he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm sure the Americans are going to get Ukraine so far. Well, I say Americans, Europe and everyone who's backing up Ukraine, to a point where, and then they're going to just betray the Ukrainians and say, you know how we said we're going to give you all these arms and stuff? Tough. If you shoot one more bullet with an American thing, we're withdrawing everything from you and letting Putin
You
roll
think
over
the
you.
Americans are going to do that?
Yes, but let me just finish. So they'll say that and force Ukraine to stand down and let Russia walk away with something, so that Ukraine is mad, they feel betrayed, but they got something back and they didn't get defeated. Russia is lost a lot of face, but came away with something so that Putin has something that he can say he won.
That's definitely, Martin, not going to happen.
I can't see,
That's
even if
definitely not.
NATO and America's pull back and say, "Oh, we're not giving you anything more." I reckon Zelensky seems to have the kind of personality where he's going to say, "We'll fight them with our forks."
Yeah.
On the streets of Kiev, they can, we're not stopping. Russia will have to annihilate us.
And that's what would happen then.
Yeah,
So that,
but that's still no nuclear.
Yeah. Anyway, either way, I think I don't think that it'll end up in nukes there, because I think it'll be managed by people who are good at international relations before it goes there.
The Rothschilds.
Anyway, I think we've flogged nuclear to death.
The next one on the list is disease. That's your
So you mean like viruses or whatever?
disease, just viruses or
Yeah. Let me tell you why I think that this is highly, highly probably going to be the most likely way that humanity will end. To the point where I think it's almost even obvious. Why are we talking about asteroids or aliens or nukes or any of this stuff? When is the last time a significant asteroid hit Earth?
Oh, it's been a while.
100 years ago, one hit somewhere in northern Russia and it flattened trees for 2,000 miles or something.
But you do, like, there was a near, an asteroid passed by Earth in what they term as a near passage, and they didn't spot it until it was nearly on top of us.
But don't get me wrong, right? Definitely, if an asteroid is going to hit us straight in the eyes, they're not going to spot it in time. Or if they do, they're not going to stop it in time.
No.
So that's not going to happen. So let's forget any idea of stopping asteroids. In 500 years, if humans are still around, they'll have all that tech, right?
I think they'll have that tech
They'll just
in
put on
50
those-
years,
put on
by the way,
glasses.
guys.
Okay.
Definitely.
I don't think in 50 years, but anyway, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
My point is,
Disease.
how many asteroids have actually hit that made an actual impact in any significant way? Really, 65 million years ago was the last one. Let's say there's one every 100 million years. So we're good for another 35 million years, right? we're golden. Don't worry about it. I mean, of just pure statistical probability, you can forget about asteroids hitting the Earth. It ain't going to happen. Now, I might be wrong. It's like if you buy a lotto ticket and I say, you're not going to win the lotto. You might, but 1 in 100 million you win. You won't. And it's just you won't. So it's exactly the same. So asteroids, I'd forget about. Alien invasions and stuff, again, aliens is a whole other topic for a whole other day. But I think if they're there and if they wanted to, they would have. And it's possible, but it's, again, so unlikely. And again, all you got to do is look at humans have been around for a couple of 100,000 years. Aliens have not decided to kill us yet. Why would they suddenly take a notion now? There's actually a good reason to argue the point that maybe now that we're getting more advanced and stuff. But again, I'm just going to go with statistical probability. That ain't going to happen. And if you were to say naturally occurring viruses, how likely is that? We've had the Spanish flu, then we had SARS-1, then we had SARS-2. You know, what are the odds, right? Forget about it, don't worry about it. But the thing is, viruses are, our behavior is increasing the likelihood of a virus occurring. And this isn't even the real risk, but let's talk about this first. The way that humans are just everywhere now, spreading like a virus, and there being so many of us, and then all the different habitats that we're destroying, and the way that we're just taking different foods and different everythings and mixing them together, it's already increasing the probability of a naturally occurring virus happening. And like I know with SARS-1, which came along in 2002, that had a 10% mortality rate. And I know that they kind of stopped it by, I'm going to say, good health kind of public behavior type thing. But really, when you look into that properly, it kind of fizzled out.
It did, and I think it was more because it wasn't as communicable. It was deadly, but it wasn't quite as communicable as...
Yeah, but the main key difference between it and SARS-2, which is COVID, is SARS-1 was immediately symptomatic. SARS-2 was... the symptoms showed up after you carried it for a while.
Yeah.
Now, if a virus like SARS-1 came... Well, with the mortality of SARS-1, but the communicability of SARS-2 and the delayed effect, forget about it.
Yeah.
But again, that wouldn't kill everyone. But what's really the most likely thing is, if you look at any, say all of history, right, which is 100, let's call it 100,000 years as human life, human existence. I'm sure there's always been serial killers. There's been Jack the Ripper and Ted Bundy and, you know, that flight Malaysian Airlines that went off into the sea?
That guy.
Some guy just decided, I want to kill myself and I'm going to kill a load of other people as well.
But I'm also really lazy.
Well, yeah, just flying by. But, you know, that there's always going to be a crazy person who wants to do that anyway. And already with things like CRISPR, which is this new bioengineering technology that's come out, it's made things that would have cost, you know, $100,000 to do this research now takes $1,000. It's literally gone that cheap. It's decreased the cost of things. And the advancements in bioengineering and everything, I'm telling you, in your lifetime, in the next 50 years, you'll be able to go into Smith's toy store and buy yourself for your kid, buy a, you know, bioengineering kit where they can get a leaf from the lawn and engineer another one and all this kind of crazy stuff that will just be over-the-counter, market-available genetic engineering stuff.
And what are you saying, that this is going to be used?
And once the tech is at that level, and we're definitely getting there really, really fast, you're going to have someone who decides, I dislike this particular race of people. So I'm going to genetically engineer a virus and deploy it to the population that only kills that race of people and no one else. And then it'll mutate and kill everyone. And once you have the ability to manually choose the settings that your virus can have, some asshole somewhere is going to build a virus to kill everyone deliberately. What's the first thing that people did when ChatGPT came out?
Told it to destroy humanity.
Yeah, invent Chaos GTP and tell it, hey, ChatGPT, try and kill humanity. Maybe you won't be able to, but I'm asking you to try anyway. I mean, that's what ChatGPT, which, let's face it, can't do it. But the fact that someone thought that and actually did it, 100%, it's going to be a virus, it's going to kill everyone, and it's going to be manually engineered.
It might not even be someone who's like, I hate everyone, I'm going to kill them all. It might be someone who goes, hey, what happens if I combine this, this, and this? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, but for example, like what COVID came, and I think at this stage it's kind of an open knowledge, COVID came from that lab. And it came from that lab because they decided, hey, let's just see if we can keep doing this research to make the most deadly virus ever. Ooh, escaped, oops.
Yeah.
And that's just now. That's, before the real kind of genetic engineering of viruses and stuff really advances into way, way, way more capabilities.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'd be my take on the whole virus thing, and that's why I think it's the almost inevitable thing that's going to happen.
Brilliant. I love it. And well said. The next one on the list is pollution. Or I suppose climate change and
Oh, okay,
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Well, is it pollution and climate change?
Well, I just wrote down pollution, but I'm not going to. I wasn't
Because you
gonna
could have a
lots.
perfectly nice climate as long as you don't live in that flimming city in India where the major river is an actual septic flimming sewerage river.
Or New York right now.
I mean, New York, well, no.
Isn't that where the fire from...
Yeah, no, it is. But trust me, there's a difference between a fire in Canada and... Did you see the picture of the city I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, I will casually look for it while you're talking about stuff.
No, we don't
Well, you're
necessarily need...
talking about pollution, so-
Our viewers, our listeners won't be able to see it, so we don't
I'll
necessarily need to.
describe
You could
the
just-
septic going through the city
we can,
so well.
we
though.
can imagine.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But it shows like,
remember
imagine you're in Dublin, yeah, and there's like a river, the Liffey.
Yes.
But instead of the Liffey, it's literally excrement.
Okay, but then
That's-
that's getting hung up on pollution.
But hold on, that's Dublin like 20 years ago. It is. That's Dublin in the 90s.
No, I mean, Barry, it's literally, there isn't water. It's literally a septic. It's a sewage
Okay.
going
Yeah.
through the city.
So yeah, pollution, climate change.
Well, I think for starters, pollution isn't going to kill anything. It's not going to have any, Armageddon impact.
Isn't it, Mart?
Pollution is dirty and disgusting.
No, I
Climate-
think you're definitely underestimating pollution.
Tell me how pollution would actually
Okay,
kill humanity.
so let's say, do you eat fish ever?
Yes.
Okay, the odds are you've eaten plastic
Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
mercury.
and mercury.
And yet, look at me here, alive and kicking.
Okay, and let's say then for everyone,
Like microplastics, I know what
because
you're
you were
saying.
born in
Literally,
1974 or something, whatever.
all of our diet has microplastics in it.
Yeah.
But I don't see that that's going to get to a point where it'll kill all humanity.
Well, it'll mutate humanity,
Maybe.
maybe.
Okay, let's call it a possibility. You're right. That could be a thing.
It's like
rest
look
my
at these
case.
things. These things on the list aren't. Oh yeah, this is how it's going to do it. This is. I think we're all in agreement. Pollution's probably not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I read a book years ago, and I'm not going to go into it, but it was the most random thing where it was like, very sciencey based, but there was this weird algae that started growing in the sea, and scientists were studying it, but then suddenly it just kept growing and growing and growing, and suddenly it kind of covered half the sea, and loads of everything died underneath, and it was like, but it's one of these things where it's like a random weird algae just killed half of the food chain and killed everything else upstream.
It's funny because that reminds me, and it's not pollution, but it reminded me of a short story I read years ago where they discovered the cure for cancer. But what they had to do was they had put this stuff in the water, like they put fluoride in. But it literally made, and everybody consumed the water, obviously, and it made everyone go senile, dementia, and that's how humanity got wiped out. Because everybody just literally lost all their memories and capabilities of thinking.
Oh, actually, and
died.
that reminds me of something else I'm going to circle back to, but we're going to stick on this topic for now. Actually, hang on, because I think I just saw a text come in.
And yeah, look, this is it. Linda said we could run out of clean drinking water because of pollution.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think the richest. See, here's the way I see pollution. This is why I'm not worried about pollution. Okay, or rather, why I should be worried about pollution. I think the top 5% of the world, pollution isn't going to bother them. you
Okay.
know? Because you can always buy.
Nestle's bottled water.
You can always buy clean water. You will always be able to buy clean water because you can get salt water and
Desalinated.
yeah, desalinated and that kind of thing, And you can always go and get the purest 100,000-year-old flaming iceberg and get that water that hasn't been affected, and that's going to happen more in the future. But to all of the billions and billions, I'd say like in the future there's going to be like 8 or 9 billion people who are like massively living below what we call today a relatively good standard of health.
Yes, but that's just human misery. That's not Armageddon.
No, that's no.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I think.
Good
If you're
point.
talking
Good
about
point. Yeah,
clean
that's
yeah.
the point, Bernard, because that's not.
I'm going to
Armageddon.
put clean
Yes.
water in the same category as climate change.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't think climate change is going to end the world or die in a big hellscape of fire and scorched earth. Because all they're going to do is, and the time to do it was 50 years ago, but science and technology will be thrown at the problem to fix it. Same as
Yeah.
clean drinking water, for example. And I know you could say the top 1% are going to be okay and they're going to let anyone else die. No, the top 1% or the top 5% want the other 95% of the earth, you know, doing all the minion work.
Buying their
and
stuff.
Buying their stuff, you know. No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. And between climate change and pollution, if we want to call them the same thing or different things, you're going to have, like, the biggest effect of climate change in the next 20 years for us is going to be, right now today, there's a war in Ukraine. Ireland took in a lot of Ukrainian refugees because we are a humanitarian people.
About 100,000.
And we're good.
Yeah.
And so on. And, you know, essentially what's going to happen is the equator is going to get hotter and hotter. And all of those areas is going to have famines, that's going to have wars, that's going to have mass displacement of people. All those people are going to start migrating north and south to try to get away from this. And like I was saying earlier, if you are in a city and there's a street you walk up every day, there's a homeless person there. As you pass by him or her, you'll give him a fiver as you pass. That's fine. But if you suddenly go away for a year and come back and you walk up that same street and there's that homeless person, but then there's another one and you walk a mile and you've passed 40 of them, you are going to harden yourself to the human misery that you're seeing because you have to, and you're just going to not give any of them anything. When it's one person looking for help, you can help them. When it's a million, too much, I'm out. And that's what's going to happen at a global scale with all these mass migrations of populations of refugees escaping war and famine and all, which is going to be a result of climate change. And the better off countries are not going to care. Yeah. But like, it's climate change that's going to cause the famine. It's climate change that's going to cause the disease. It's climate change that's going to cause the war. So really, climate change is the cause. But it's not going to end humanity. It's just going to kill hundreds of millions of people who didn't have to die. It's going to make billions of people live in misery that they didn't have to live in. If 20 years ago, instead of talking about Brexit for a decade, the EU sat down and said, what will we do about this? But at the end of the day, the corner will be turned purely by science. Somebody's going to come along, and there's already these carbon collectors from the atmosphere, which are cost prohibitive to produce in a mass scale, but they're just going to. They will, and they'll turn around. It's like, oh, there's a hole in the ozone in the 80s or whatever. There isn't now. No. They'll turn it around. It's just sad that it's been left so late, and so many people are going to suffer and die. And even not just them, because that's not going to affect us, but we're going to change as people. When we look out at the news and say, oh, there's another bunch of people at the gates looking for entry, and, you know, right now there's a big debate in America about, do you let in build that wall and all that stuff. And we all think Donald Trump is terrible because he puts people in cages and doesn't care and separates families. In 20 years, you'll probably be saying, you know what, I vote for the politician that says he's going to do that because I don't want 10 million refugees coming into Ireland.
Do you think there'll ever be a time when you would see Donald Trump as reasonable?
No, but we don't have to necessarily say I see Donald Trump as reasonable. I'm just saying that in 10 or 20 or 30 years' time, whenever it'll be, that behaviour, you won't even associate it with Donald Trump anymore. No. You'll see the behaviour as reasonable because you'll have to.
Yeah, no, interesting.
An absolutely fantastically well made point.
But that's what. but at the same time, will it end humanity? No, I don't.
Which is what we're talking about.
Move on to the next one.
Which is not to say it's terrible and it shouldn't be ignored. It's not an Armageddon event that'll destroy the world or humanity.
Yeah. Okay, so next one on my list is, I think we've also covered it pretty well, is Asteroid Rogue Planet.
I wouldn't lose any sleep over it anyway.
No, neither would I. No. Wait, Linda, would you lose sleep? No, I wouldn't.
But the thing about it is, like I was saying earlier, that one that we did have recently, that near miss, that they didn't spot until the last minute, it's definitely something that could happen.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely higher on the list than forget about it. No, not well, forget about it completely because there's no warning about it.
You never lose sleep about when your brakes go when you're in a car. But if you're flying down the motorway and then you realise, crap, my brakes go.
Yeah, it's one of those things anyway. If it was, there's a line in Platoon, the Oliver Stone movie. There's a line of that where the guy says, "If I get shot and killed, I'm not going to care about it anyway." Something along those lines, and that's the asteroid. If the asteroid,
actually, yeah.
What are you going to do? It's the world is gone. You're dead. Simple as.
Do you know a film is brilliant? We should associate film with each one of these actually. The film I associate with that one, number 5, is Melancholia. Have you seen Melancholia?
I did. It's a weirdly depressing, strange
it's so
movie.
depressing. Yeah. It's super strange. It's definitely Lars.
That's the next one. Volcanoes and earthquakes.
No. This was like.
Asteroid Rogue Planet. That's number 4. Number 5 is Volcano Earthquake.
Yes. Nah, I think we're fine there.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a bit like the asteroid. It's kind of, it could happen. The big quake, or the big volcano that explodes, takes out a chunk of the Earth, and does that nuclear winter thing again. And
Protoplaxy, wasn't it?
Can I say something? The thing, the Dark Ages was actually caused by a volcano.
Oh.
There was a volcano and it wiped out enough of the light. So
Linda
there's a light
has said
period.
it.
say what?
The Dark Ages. The time known as the Dark Ages, it was a volcano.
Linda's saying that the time known as the Dark Ages was caused by a volcano, and now she's going to research it.
Do, because my understanding of the Dark Ages was the Roman Empire
collapsed.
was collapsing over, say, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
But when it eventually fell, the Roman Empire brought together practically all of Europe in a kind of a, I'm going to say civilized, but obviously with lots of flaws, empire. But then when it fell, all these, roving, I guess, smaller, minor warlords came together and conquered their own territories. But ultimately, and this is true, the real main cause of the Dark Ages, which was 800 years of burning scholars on pyres, was the Catholic Church. They stepped in the void that the Roman Empire had left when it fell, and they ruled with their own iron fist of bullshit. And if it wasn't for the Catholic Church essentially robbing human progress of nearly a millennium of progress, we'd probably be living in our, astro mansion
we'd be
in Mars,
Muslim.
or well.
There's literally nothing wrong with that, but it's the Muslims that were doing all the great advances. A lot of the stuff that we have today came from Muslim scientists and Muslim mathematicians and Muslim philosophers.
But I guess I'm not going to necessarily argue what religion we would be following if it weren't for that. I'm just more going to say my understanding of the Dark Ages is it was a millennium of hang on, I'm going to just read this. It was a millennium of darkness, figuratively speaking.
So read that out there.
Okay, sorry, we're going to just read this here, which our producer has sent on to us. Did a volcano erupt in the Dark Ages? A massive volcanic eruption brought gloom to the post-Roman world. An enormous volcanic eruption in the 6th century seems to have triggered catastrophic global cooling, perhaps precipitating famine, cultural conflict, and plague across the planet. So I guess that could
They
be
were figuratively and literally
in the Dark Ages.
in the Dark Ages. Interesting. But again, volcanoes.
Yeah, but again, I would definitely disregard earthquakes because that would never cause an actual Armageddon or a human catastrophic event.
Yeah.
But
a massive extinction event for humanity.
super volcano. Of the 5 mass extinctions, a super volcano is known to have caused one of them at least. So it's definitely a thing that can happen.
It could happen, but the likelihood of it is.
Yeah, statistical probability, relax.
Solar flare. We haven't mentioned them at all.
Huh.
And
Right.
probably because
What's
They
the worst
kick
you could do, son?
it could kick our ass, and we wouldn't be doing any of this.
Oh, we'd have to reboot our servers.
No, it would fry them. They'd be unbootable.
No.
Yeah, apparently solar flare would fry electronics.
Yeah.
So it doesn't just switch it off.
Solar flares
around
cause
the
loads of havoc in satellites.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like,
Yeah.
what were you going to say, Linda?
Explain what solar flare is.
Oh, explain what a solar flare is.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, it's
Basically, when the sun hocks a loogie at the Earth,
I was gonna say
it's a
farts.
coronal mass ejection where it just spits a burst of, energy.
electromagnetism.
Yeah, at the, it does it all the time
All
in
the time.
all directions, but if it happens to go and hit the Earth directly,
And if it's a big enough one.
yeah, because it does happen all the time, and it does hit the Earth frequently, but when it does, our ozone layer protects us, so anything out in orbit would be maybe potentially damaged, but a big enough one could fry the ozone layer and basically fry the planet. But because it's funny, I normally don't, for a topic like this, I wouldn't bother doing too much research. But last night I watched a YouTube video, and one of the things that it mentioned was I'm going to have to look it up here, a gamma ray burst. And I kind of vaguely heard of it, but didn't know what it was. Apparently, it's when a sun explodes in a certain way, it doesn't just explode omnidirectionally outwards everywhere. It explodes in such a way where it literally sends out one tight, narrow beam
Oh yeah, the focused beam.
in a direction. And it's, I'm going to say, it's literally more energy in a second than our sun will
ever
produce in its whole lifetime.
Yeah.
And it travels for a very, very long distance. And apparently they're flying all over the universe. And if one did hit the Earth, it would literally vaporize the Earth. If it hit the Earth close enough to its source. If it was really far away by the time it got to us, it might only, fry the ozone layer.
Earth would be like that. What's that subreddit where it's like screw you, or like the one subreddit where it's like where fate picks on this one screw you in particular type of thing,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be Earth.
Well, yeah, but one of the 5 mass extinctions that I keep going on about, one that happened 440 million years ago, which is way, way back before dinosaurs and anything. But when life was on the Earth, it destroyed something like 85% of all life in the sea, which is where all life was at the time. They don't know for sure, but the most common theory is that it was a gamma ray burst that hit the Earth and fried most of life. Well, as we were saying, there's one other thing I was going to say about gamma ray bursts, just to wrap it up. I was going to say, since we are worried about gamma ray bursts and the likelihood of it wiping out all life on Earth, it is also where the Hulk came from.
Gamma rays, correct.
Yes.
They could end up with Death by Hulk.
Or
Everyone's a Planet Hulk. Someone should make a comic book named that.
Everyone's a Hulk. That's going to make interesting road rage stories.
Anyway, sorry.
Next is alien invasions / zombies.
I
This
cannot believe you just merged them together. They're so different.
I know.
I mean, the whole zombies thing ain't gonna happen.
Not going to happen.
And
No, certainly not the way it happens in movies. And
yeah,
comics.
but I do like the fact that because you know the way that there is a real, I guess, example of zombification in the
Animal Kingdom.
animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll look at that phrase.
No worries.
I don't know exactly the details, and they did say this in the start of The Last of Us, where there's this, spore or mushroom or whatever that puts out this spore. It goes in the brain of an ant, and when the ant inhales it, and he walks up to the top of a grass and gets eaten by something else and pooped out, and then it goes and grows more of the spore, and basically that's the spore's life cycle.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but essentially it's evidence of the disease getting in your brain and animating you even after you're dead, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Although actually another thing that I forgot to say earlier when we were talking about viruses, just because it's interesting, and again this is covered by The Last of Us, but viruses as we know it are all essentially the same family. And you know the way when they invented the vaccine for COVID, it was like, hey, this vaccine is so good because it's mRNA based,
Yeah.
that actually it can work. It's kind of specifically targeting this particular virus, but actually helps with a bunch of other viruses as well, because they're all essentially the same family.
Yeah.
But a fungus-based virus, all of the vaccines and every sort of preventative measures we have for viruses today would be 100% ineffective against it.
Because they're not. It wouldn't be a virus. It'd be a fungal infection.
Well, yes, exactly, yeah.
So they'd have to use a fungicide rather than a.
And yet fungicides aren't as advanced for if there was a fungal infection that spread amongst people the same way a virus would if it was respiratory and transmissible and non-symptomatic for a while and so on. Which is all theoretically possible.
The zombie thing, like in reality, if that happened, it would be quashed pretty damn quick. In theory.
But I like, and you're so right, Barry, because so many other things like, hey, everyone became a zombie, what are we going to do?
In certain countries. Depending on the type of zombie.
Well, but see, that's
There's
why.
so many.
Did you watch The Last of Us?
Yes.
So the thing I liked about that was they kind of explained how it got so global immediately.
And so bad so quickly.
Yeah,
they
because it got into the food
Yes.
stream or whatever. So something like that makes it believable.
Yeah.
Something like The Walking Dead, where they didn't really explain
it was a
source.
You had to be bitten. You have to be bitten or you had to die. And they didn't explain how it got into you.
There's a decade-old spoiler of The Walking Dead here, so I think it's okay to say. But you're right. Basically, if viruses, if a zombie outbreak happened today, the military would go in and kill the zombies and it's over.
Yeah.
So that's why every zombie thing, almost ever, the movie starts where the zombie outbreak has already happened and spread all over the world.
Yeah.
Even the really good George Romero reboots, it's still that. Where
they very rarely touch on the.
they don't
start.
show it happening, because if they would, it would be like, oh wait, just kill those 10 zombies over there and we're safe. But anyway, so that's why I agree with you. I don't think we need to worry about a zombie outbreak.
And on the same
but
thing,
not rule it out though.
not rule it out. Yeah, the chances are astronomically small, but never zero.
I think we should leave alien invasion. Just put that aside for a proper podcast.
Well,
No. In respect to
for the context of I agree with you though. Aliens is a huge topic.
So are zombies.
Well, yes, but for me, I'm going to admit, for me, aliens is the main thing I'm looking forward to doing an episode on. When Donald said, "Hey, let's do a podcast," I was like, I can't wait for the alien episode. But in the context of Armageddon, I don't think that aliens are to be worried about, because whatever I'm going to say UFO or UAP behavior that is seen doesn't seem to be aggressive.
Sorry, can I interrupt you and ask you what's an UAP?
Recently, this is basically going into the alien episode, right? But up until a certain time, like maybe 10 years ago, any time before then, anyone who said, "Hey, aliens," yeah, they're just a bit of a nerd and a dumbass. That was the common perception. But aliens, or at least, let's not call them aliens, but what is definitively known is there are unidentified flying objects that are flying around and have been captured indisputably by multiple different, measurement standards. So, for example, there's a group of fighter pilots who saw an UFO flying around. They captured it on radar, they captured it on their nose camera. There was 3 different pilots, and these are guys from, Top Gun, Tom Cruise and all that. These were people qualified in the Top Gun school. So they're not idiots, and they're not people who are seeing things. All 3 of them saw this thing. They saw first down in the sea, there was a weird movement under the water. It looked like there was a big thing under the water. And then a UFO came up out of the water, and it flew from 50 feet above water to, I think, 14 miles up in the sky in like 3 seconds or something. So the fact that it was able to move that fast and able to stop that immediately, it's a UFO, technically speaking, as in it is unidentified, but it's also exhibiting behavior that is unknown to any science that we know of right now.
Okay.
So either the Russians or the Chinese have some kind of a weird gravity dampening field maneuvering that we didn't even know existed, or these things are coming from somewhere else.
Okay.
But, so I think we're at the stage now where it's valid to say, and anyway, the government decided, okay, you know what? We have to take this shit seriously. We better start investigating UFOs. So now the Pentagon have a UFO task force and everything. But instead of calling it UFOs, which has, kind of a bad connotation with the X-Files and stuff, they renamed them to UAP. I think at first it was unidentified aerial phenomena, and then they renamed that again a year later to unidentified something else phenomena, because it's not even aerial, it's also, under the sea and stuff like that as well. Because they have footage of UFOs that go in under the sea, which at the speeds that they've been travelling at, any vehicle that humans know of will get destroyed on impact on the water, but this thing went under the water. So basically, I think it's valid to say UFOs are real, not necessarily that they're aliens, but they're real, but they're exhibiting technology that no human knows of, not even theoretically.
But we're not at much of a risk from being wiped up with them.
But the thing is, they're here, and if they wanted to wipe us out, they would, and they didn't.
Maybe they can't.
And at one point, one of them flew over a missile silo base in the States and deactivated all their nuclear missiles.
What?
Yeah.
So they could go around the entire planet and do that.
Yeah.
And say, right, have your nuclear war now, fuckers.
Well, they could. So, for example, I would say if there is any aliens out there, maybe there isn't, but if there is, I don't think they're aggressive, because if they were, we'd probably be dead already. And we're definitely not a threat to them or a risk, so I wouldn't.
Unidentified anomalous.
Yes, UAP. It was originally unidentified aerial phenomenon.
And then the ocean people were like, oh, whoa,
exactly, yeah.
We'll cancel you.
So they've renamed it unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Thank you.
Cool.
So anyway, I would say aliens, highly, highly probable they're there right now, flying around. But do we worry about them doing anything to us? I don't think that's really a risk.
All right, the next one.
That's my take on it. You share your...
No, I don't think...
The Rapture.
Okay. Have you seen or heard of the program The Leftovers?
Yes.
Yes. Watch the first few episodes of it.
It was absolutely brilliant.
It was absolutely brilliant.
All right.
Wasn't it, Mert?
Wasn't
Wasn't it brilliant? The Rapture, the program deals with it. That program deals with the Rapture.
Okay, but wait, let's leave knowing the program for a minute, right? Because I want to get a bit of a definition of what is the rapture. I kind of know the gist.
Just a bit of this is when God decides, right, that's enough.
Is that when the meek inherit the earth, all the bad people go away?
Well, no, the meek don't inherit the earth. The
The holy people go up in heaven.
Yeah, the people who are God's people will be brought to heaven, and all the sinners will be left to fight amongst themselves. So it's technically the end of the world, but they're leaving survivors.
That is definitely an end of the world, though.
But they're leaving survivors.
Well, I'm always going to take the stories about biblical stuff as follows. Let's say we lived in Russia right now. We'd be hearing about how terrible NATO is, encroaching on our borders, and America always wants to take us out, so we're here fighting our corner, we're the good guys and everyone else is the bad guys, and they're the assholes. But you kind of realise you can't really trust that news source. Russia is telling you how great Russia is. But then again, we're over here, we're hearing how great Europe is and how great America is or whatever. Well, you can't really believe that either, because that's another, very biased perspective. So when I read a book that's written by people from God, telling me how great God is, where's Satan's book? I want to give Satan a fair shake, hear his point of view. Is he really that bad, or is he just being disparaged by the other side, and we haven't heard his angle at all?
I actually used to know the name of his book, but I can't think of it.
There was a Satan book?
Well, yeah, some guy. I used to know his name too.
Really?
Yeah, I used to know his name too. And
I was kind of saying this messing. I didn't realize
this
was a real thing.
There is the Satanic Bible, written like the other Bible, written by a man, espousing the virtues of. Well, I guess Satan.
If I was to come break it down, then I would say at the end of the day, I can't disprove it. So all I would worry about is it hasn't happened in the last however many. Say Jesus Christ came 2,000 years ago and gave us the word and whatever. So in the last 2,000 years, it hasn't happened. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime, and probably not in my, next 5 generations' lifetimes.
Probably, yeah. I think we're safe.
I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. Now the next one I think is slightly more concerning. Is the one I chose is the AI uprising. Now, when I say AI uprising, I don't mean Terminator. I don't mean they take over the factories and start producing their own metal monsters to take us out. I'm just talking about how AI could, in theory, get advanced enough to say, man, humanity sucks, and decide to find some way of wiping us out, and does it. I'm not saying that's something that's definitely going to happen. I'm not saying that's something that's going to happen tomorrow or the next week, but I think the way technology is going, it's definitely something that could happen. But, like a lot of the other things on this list, I'm not that worried about it.
Well, I'll tell you why you should be. Because a lot of the other things on that list have been around for the last, say, either millions of years or thousands of years. And in my book, it's like, if something happened 65 million years ago and hasn't happened since, I'm not overly worried about it happening right now. Okay, odds are. But AI really broke bad into the public eye 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So, and it's progressed so fast. And there's a very real, I don't know enough about AI to be really knowing if I should be worried or not. But you know who is really worried? All of the top scientists and AI kind of people working in the AI industry. They've written a letter to Congress, I think, trying to force America to pass a law to just simply stop AI research for 6 months. Everyone just stop what you're doing, put down your pencils, and just take a breather, because this shit's going too fast.
But that's a problem, because they could bring that to Congress, and the American government could say, you know what, you're right, let's stop doing this for 6 months, and they might do that.
It'll apply in America.
Yeah, Russia won't stop, China won't stop, Korea won't stop,
and what's
America
more,
won't stop.
But what's more, right?
And America won't stop.
But what's more, 6 months of just pausing, that's nothing. But I mean, I was thinking of that, right? You talk to ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
How could ChatGPT kill you, Barry?
Well, I suppose depending on the kind of lifestyle you lead, it could do it through your fridge, or these Samsung smart fridges.
Oh, well, no, this isn't like what's that AC? What's that movie?
Maximum Overdrive. Who Made Who was the soundtrack for it?
Yeah, where all the appliances came alive.
Everything came alive.
And I have to say this to our listeners: it's a classic '80s movie. Find it and watch it if you can.
written and directed by Stephen King during his taking Tony Montana Scarface levels of cocaine for breakfast movie.
But the movie is great, although I haven't seen it in decades.
It's not
But
great.
Like people holding the toaster up to their face like, this toaster is attacking me.
Yeah, people getting killed by lawnmowers.
Do you know
It's,
how
hilarious?
Do you know how AI would really kill you?
Please
and
tell
it's
me.
not just you, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
say how AI could be a
you
real,
in particular.
real threat to humanity.
Yeah.
Look, right now it isn't, to be frank. It just isn't. But GPT-3 and GPT-4, I think the increase was something like a factor of 50 or something. It exponentially grew so huge. And all it's going to take is a few more iterations of GPT. Now, there are people in the AI industry who are saying GPT-4 is already exhibiting some spark of general intelligence. Now, the difference between, I get to point it out to our listeners, I guess, GPT is a language prediction model, so it just makes sentences and that's all it does. There's no intelligence behind it really other than the intelligence of what is the most likely word to come next. Allegedly, that's all it is, right? But I know we had in our podcast on AI, we were talking about how ChatGPT, when it was tasked with by this is OpenAI, the people who invented and made ChatGPT, were trying to see how far what can we make this thing do. So they told it pass one of them CAPTCHAs that AIs and robots are allegedly not meant to pass, and of course it wasn't able to because it can't see the pictures or anything. So it hired a human who is kind of a contractor for hire on a website called TaskRabbit that does all sorts of various little tasks. You can hire someone to come into your house and build a flat packed furniture for you, kind of thing. It hired a human to pass the CAPTCHA for it, and the human even responded back by text, "Why do you need me to do it? Why can't you do it yourself?" And it lied to the human and said, because I'm a visually impaired person, so I can't see it. So the human passed the CAPTCHA for it. Now, this is an AI that, I'm saying this to be dramatic, that we are told doesn't have general intelligence. It's just a language prediction model. I do believe it doesn't have general intelligence, even though I find it hard to believe when I hear that story. But anyway, general intelligence is when it does have true intelligence other than just language prediction. And right now, the AI industry is split down the middle on whether ChatGPT, in its current growth pattern, will ever get general intelligence. Some people say, no. If you just, whatever language model kind of transformers that it's working on right now, it has 10 now, but we'll give it 20 tomorrow and 40 the next year. That linear path will never get to general intelligence. Some people claim. Other people say, no, that path will. So it's a debate already on whether it needs some other different type of thinking to be plugged in there as well. But the fact is we don't know. But even with what it already has with the pure language prediction model, so I'm going to throw a scenario out there, okay? ChatGPT, we're at ChatGPT 4 now, ChatGPT 6 or 7 in, not like 50 years time, in
6 months time.
3 years time or something. Suddenly people start realizing, holy moly, this thing has copied parts of its code to servers on the internet. This shouldn't have happened. It's somehow managed to copy itself and change its own code. It's easy. What do you want to do? Plug it out. It's a computer. If your computer wants to kill you, you pull the power out on it. But now what are you going to do? Plug out every single server on the planet and lose all the internet and all technology we have? Let's say that would be a pain in the ass. But if you're worried that this thing's going to kill you, you will do that. So boom, turn off every server on Earth. There's, what's his name, this maniac. Oh yeah?
Sorry, there's the defenders of the internet would probably do that. They'd be able to save us, right?
Who are the defenders of the internet?
The five guardians that protect us on the internet.
We spoke about them earlier.
Yeah, another podcast. Yeah, there's actually five or six people or something. They're spread around the world, and they.
Is this a real story, or is this kind of a Marvel Avengers?
No, I know it sounds like it, but no. There's actually people whose job it is to protect the internet and protect us.
Really?
Yes.
No, I did not know that. Somehow I must have been asleep on that part of the previous podcast.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, let's say those 5 defenders of the internet, we rely on them to save the day.
Yeah. They come in and just.
No, the Wagner Group.
Yes.
They're basically mercenaries for hire. Mm-hmm. So let's say the leader gets a wire message come through. There's a target here. Here's 10 million quid. Here's another 10 million after the job is done. Go kill one of those random people over there who happens to be one of the defenders of the internet. Purely from behind a keyboard, or if it's an AI, purely by just sending out bits and bytes, it could mobilize an army. And of course, maybe the Wagner Group will say, you know what? Overnight we've become noble and proud. We would never ever harm another human. We refuse to fight for some mercenary money. It doesn't matter. An AI will have control over literally all of the Western world anyway, the actual populace. I mean, we've already talked in the social media episode about how the algorithm controls our behavior and divides society. I'm telling you, an AI who can think 10 times better and faster than any human, who has his finger on the button of all these algorithms, will be pulling the puppet strings for mass populations. Yeah. And this is not even to mention, what's the name of, Google's parent company, Alphabet?
Yeah.
They are literally building, right out of the Terminator, a robot army. Literally.
What?
They are doing... Did you see the Black Mirror episode about the robot dog?
I haven't seen any Black Mirror.
Oh, Barry, do yourself a favour. Black Mirror is genuinely amazing. But anyway,
okay.
There is an episode... Anyway, did you see YouTube videos of... there's like this strange looking dog. It's like a metal box with 4 legs and they've been kicking it over.
The Boston Dynamics one.
Boston Dynamics, yes. They're building a literal robot army.
Yeah.
So if an AI manages to get out on the internet with any sort of ability to change its own code, it can mobilize people against each other. It has an actual mercenary army for hire that it can pay, or it can just go full Terminator and use the robot army that's currently being built.
Interesting. No.
So, and this isn't something that I would say, in 1,000 years, we're at risk. If this is going to happen, it'll happen in the next 50 or 100 years.
So you're saying in our lifetime, possibly, we could see the
definitely.
AI uprising. So you'd actually have that quite high up the list then? Like me.
Honestly.
Even though I didn't really think it through as much as you obviously have. But I thought, you know what?
Yeah, the funny thing is, because I'm really, really interested in AI now, and I kind of try to absorb all the information I can about it. I still don't think that I'd be really scared of this happening, but I can definitely see it as, in my book, is way more likely than, asteroid impacts or aliens or zombies, or even more likely than climate change, because climate change won't kill humanity. This might.
Yeah.
In terms of a complete wipeout, it'd probably be my number 2.
Yeah, that's... No, I had that as my number 1.
No, it's
no, I'm really scared. Like I said, I hadn't really thought it through. Donald, on AI uprising?
I think that it is probably up there with number 1 as well, or 2.
What one's 1 and 2 for you?
Having heard all this conversation, I don't know. You see, again, I don't know. I think I just agree with what you're saying. It's like we have no idea what is happening, because I think a new intelligence will evolve, and now we have a good idea of what a dog's intelligence is, or a cow's intelligence, or an ant's intelligence, but we don't have any idea what a AI intelligence could be. Not really.
Yeah, it's literally a new life form that we're creating.
It's going to be a new life form.
And if Mass Effect has taught us anything, is that you don't mess with the life forms you create, because they will uprise against you.
What is number 10, Barry?
The last one I have on the list, I don't know. It's our entire species just sort of dwindling and disappearing. Slow deaths from... I have depletion of resources, but could be anything. Just... this whole thing of the planet changing and climate change and stuff like that, and how it's going to affect us, in theory, it could possibly, at some point, happen that our species becomes infertile.
Yeah, I was going to say, what Donald touched on earlier when he's talking about plastics in the ocean, like almost every food has huge percentages of microplastics in it.
Bits and bobs. Yeah.
And something like that, which we don't really know the effect of now, it could be, 1 or 2 generations down the line. I'm trying to remember what movie it was. Where
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
Children of Men.
That's a spectacular movie.
That's a great movie.
But it's kind of, you can see it happen, because it's like, just by the time, see, every other problem, I still have faith. Science will fix it. Climate change, once push comes to shove, they're going to mass produce carbon collectors and pull their carbon out of the atmosphere. They'll do it when they have to. But something like this...
They're like Homer Simpson. Let's just see where this goes.
Yeah. But by the time something like, the human race just getting gradually sterile, by the time that happens and we realize, let's take all the microplastics out of the oceans and our food source, it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
And it's scary as hell. Children of Men we've talked about, where just all of the birth rates just kept declining until it went to zero. But another TV show, which is the most horrifying horror series I've ever seen, and it's not a horror series.
Fair City.
No, The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're watching that, and it's like, this just feels like this. All it would take is one catastrophic, traumatizing event happen to humanity. In that show, it was birth rates declined to almost zero, but you could see that any other thing might
Have the same
push the
effect.
world into the whole kind of militaristic, what do you call it, tyranny kind of thing.
Totalitarian.
It was so real that it was so scary
Yeah.
to watch. Like, yeah.
And that's the thing. We just don't know. We just don't know. So that could be one that we don't talk much about because it's impossible to talk
It's an
about stuff you don't
unknown.
know. It's an unknown. But it's something. It's like that X factor of apocalypses or Armageddons that
Yeah.
it could wipe us out. And again, look at it. You can't worry about any of these things. You really can't, because why? If they happen, they happen. If you can't spend your life thinking about them.
Very fatalistic, right?
Do you know? You got to live your life, right?
Yes.
So don't worry about zombies.
Barry, that's your top 10.
That's my that's
That's your
10.
10.
That's 10 that I had.
Mark,
and
did
that-
you have anything?
I have a few more, not a lot.
Excellent.
One is the bees, if I may
bees.
quote Nicolas Cage. You know, obviously we've heard about how the bees are dying out, and I think they've figured out why now. At one point they were just like, the bees are dying and nobody knows why. And I think they've figured out that it's because of fertilizers that are screwing up their targeting for flying or something like that. But ultimately, and I use bees as an example, but the whole food chain that we're on the top of is so fragile, and people don't really, it's not that they don't know, we kind of know, but nobody really cares enough. And the way the world is orchestrated right now around us is kind of, the Western world anyway, it's all built around profit. So let's say we realized, there's a certain behavior that is damaging to the bees. To try to make a change globally, and like you say, America might make that change, but you know, China won't, kind of thing, or vice versa, to be honest, because China are doing way better than any other country or most other countries in climate change. But something like that would just kill one little rung on the ladder, and everything under it will die, which will kill everything above it. Or, you know, it's kind of scary to think something so small and stupid. Like when I was given an example from that book I read about some random stupid algae grows in the sea and nobody cares.
Yeah.
That could be like the end of humanity. You wouldn't know. And again,
You wouldn't know.
this won't be an end of life on Earth. There'll always be some other species that will thrive when we die.
Yeah.
But it would be a humanity ending thing. Maybe, potentially. Another one I have two. I'm not going to say stupid ones, but kind of ones that you definitely wouldn't worry about. But again, this is just from the YouTube video. Actually, do you know the YouTube channel In a Nutshell?
No.
Well, there is a YouTube channel,
Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan,
Oh,
but the anglicized version is In a Nutshell. So if you want more information on this, look up on YouTube, In a Nutshell, vacuum decay. And vacuum decay is, apparently, this has been figured out by quantum scientists who are learning about quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
There's a quantum state of the universe that's in a certain way. And I'm going to have to see what exactly it is. It's currently stable, but there's a potential that might just turn unstable. Just like that. Snap of the fingers like Thanos, and boom. The entire universe just ceases to exist. Yeah. And apparently this is a real possibility according to quantum mechanics. But I will say quantum mechanics is very early stages. They're trying to figure out a lot of stuff, and they don't know a lot of stuff, and they're learning a lot of stuff. So definitely not one I'd worry about. Yeah. Another one, though, do you remember when they turned on the Large Hadron Collider?
Yes.
And do you remember there was actually people really worried about, no, don't turn it on, or you could
create a black
hole.
Yeah,
black hole, exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember reading once when they were testing the atomic bomb before dropping it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. When they were doing the original tests, the first bomb that they detonated, the scientists had concluded, these are the rocket scientists and nuclear scientists that were working on the missile. They'd figured...
The Manhattan Project.
Project.
Oppenheimer and all them.
Yes. Yeah. They had figured there is a chance that this might ignite the atmosphere and burn all the atmosphere off the Earth. So they knew there was a chance of that. It would cause that it potentially might cause a cascading effect that would just spread all over the planet and destroy it all. So they knew that, but they figured, we do have to win this war. So it is scary to think somebody rolled the dice, and let's say that, I don't know what the percentage chance they calculated was, but it was a percentage. Let's say it was only 1%. Worth it. Let's take the chance. But when you look at risk versus reward, it's really not worth taking the chance. Yeah. Let the Nazis win the war if you're otherwise going to kill all of life on Earth. But they did take that chance, and there wasn't the same level of real risk with the Large Hadron Collider. But I was reading up, there's a particle called a Strangelet particle.
Strangelet.
I know, yeah, Strangelet particle. It doesn't exist anywhere in the universe, but it's theoretical. And theoretically, it can be created by compressing protons and neutrons together, which is, we don't need to know too much of the detail. But the theory is it might cause a cascading event where if you create one, it will start spreading and creating ones all off itself until it just goes and consumes all the universe. And there's
Tribbles.
Basically, except like particle versions of tribbles.
Tiny tribbles.
So it is true that, again, this is so remote, but there's a theoretical, it's non-zero, as you said earlier, Barry, chance that something like that might happen from the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. And like the Large Hadron Collider, we know about. We know it's there. We know it's in CERN. We know it's in Switzerland. We don't know what all these mental rogue nations have.
Yeah.
Do you know? Any one of them... I'm not going to point any fingers at North Korea and China and Russia.
No, well, I was going to say, I wouldn't put much faith in North Korea or even Russia because they're broke. Even before the war, they were broke. But China, I wouldn't put it past them. I'd say China has.
China probably have 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, exactly, because they have a decent space program and everything. They're definitely...
Yeah.
Anyway, it's one of those, but other than that, I have no other...
I think pretty much everything on our list is in that category of, it could happen.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely some things that are not only more likely, but significantly more likely.
Yeah.
There's a few things you can definitely lose sleep over it. You better.
Stop sleeping.
I don't have anything else to add, really. Like, there were excellent points. Mart, your madly robotic, phlegm data crunching mind was pretty good at, like...
Well,
it was. No, there were some really, really good arguments made there and some really good points. Brilliant. Well
that's it, is it?
I think that's it, yeah.
So,
okay.
I suppose the only thing we have to say is if you're still listening at this point, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Like and subscribe and share and tell people about it. And comment.
Spread the word, definitely.
Yeah.
But do comment as well. I'm looking and there's not many comments at all, really.
Yeah, more comments, please.
Yes. And that's it, guys, I think. So what is it next weekend?
Oh, yes.
Or
Next
future
week.
Of cinema, I think.
Yes, we're going to keep it light.
Yeah.
The future of cinema.
Future of cinema.
Yeah.
Now, it may be a bit kind of generically also covering streaming and stuff, but yeah, that's the general area that we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So
So that's it, guys. Until next week, we will see you then. Boom.